Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one for you today. If you haven't seen the video from yesterday with the quarter developer Quincy Jones breaking down information on the quarter platform XDC, XRP, and XLM, and revealing he believes from what the work he's done that in fact is the new financial system. We are about to take a look at some more comments today from the Quincy Jones. And I'm telling you, Quincy, I just want to invite you onto the show right now. Would love to speak with you. I'm trying to get a hold of you and get your contact information so we can have a talk, because today we're going to go deeper into the idea. And we talked about this 5-6 months ago here on this channel, about the idea of XRP getting that security designation instead of a currency designation, and what the implications would mean, and if it could still work. I believe it could. We're going to take a look at that along with Quincy's new comments, and let's get this thing moving. We got a lot to go over. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. 1.3 trillion is what the market cap's looking like right now. Let's see. The page wouldn't load properly here. I like a refresh page when we get going here. All right, so here we are. Yeah, it is showing here 1.3 trillion for the market cap. Still a lot of money missing. That's the story. 33,000 plus for Bitcoin. Ethereum under 2,000 now. XRP sitting at 61 cents this morning. Quickly move through this information. We are going to look at a highlight from Dark Defender here. We're up just a little over 0.5%, and we're looking right now at 61 cents for XRP. The bottom range is 58 cents. Almost 59 cents. The top range is 63 cents plus. We will keep an eye on it. Let's take a look at this really quick from Dark Defender. It says, Buongiorno, hi there all. XRP in the daily chart is at oversold area. We will see 70 plus cents very soon, he says. You can find the daily Heikin-Ashi chart below, reflects the same support and resistance levels as we discussed earlier. Not much has changed in the way of where we've been ranging, consolidating, going up and testing that 66 line, and then coming back down and rolling over into the 50 cents and then 55, and then sometimes as low as 45 cents, a few days ago or last week. So we'll see what goes on here. But I like the idea that we may get above that 70 cent mark, and that will put us on track to start getting into that area everybody wants to see. $2.72, $5 plus, $13, 20 some dollars per XRP. All of these things, importantly enough to the technical analysts, regardless of the price action or lack thereof it, are telling us they're very much still on the table. So that is exciting to me. Now, today we're going to go over some information. I want to start with this before we get into the actual topic of today, but I covered this last week, but now it's been covered by Squawk Box on CNBC. And shout out to DAI, Digital Asset Investor, who hit me to this clip. This will back up the article we covered last week. Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, original investor in Ripple. I mean, this guy, Palantir, so many things he's done. He has made $5 billion tax-free since back in 1999 or something like that. He put $2,000 into an IRA, which I tell you about all the time because of I Trust Capital. And he's made $5 billion, and every bit of it is tax-free, because it's a Roth IRA. You can do this with your crypto. You can put your money in that account and get a crypto just like any one of these. And I'm sure when it's available, XRP will be right back up there again, and you can get it. Or you can do gold or silver, either one. I told you they are the best IRA offering in the business, bar none. There's no mistake about it. Make sure you check them out. Now, this is a reminder because we're about to look at new comments from Quincy Jones, a developer on the quarter platform, and this young man is extremely bright. I'm going to tell you right now. And he explains things, and in a very, very easy, digestible way. And that's one of the things I think that really makes him so electrifying to listen to. So, all right. So just a reminder that the R3 platform, where the Quarter platform comes from, is currently hosting around 100 Italian banks right now that are already on that platform. That's just to set the stage in the case you don't know. I'm reminding everybody that there has been a narrative over this past several months during this pandemic that we saw the GameStop trading incident, which was basically retail investor market manipulation, they said, when the truth of the matter is really it was the big players that are buying the data from Robinhood, who were selling the data to the Melvin Capitals and all the others out here, right? And they get to see what's going on in both sides of the trades here. And you're really not fooling them, but they changed direction because of the retail investor and ended up moving the market another way. So this ultimately, however you side with the understanding of it, it really doesn't matter. The point is the narrative has been made that the market manipulation took place because the retail investor used social media platforms to unite to move a market, and that constitutes market manipulation to a great degree to Congress. And that means that the only way that they could do that is because the market infrastructure for the markets themselves are antiquated. We also saw this. We saw the U.S. pipeline be attacked with a cyber attack, pointing to the narrative again that the market manipulation, right? Not market manipulation, but the market infrastructure, again, is antiquated. And then just several weeks ago, the largest meat producer got hacked online, cyber attack. And that, again, points to antiquated market infrastructure. Okay, now we're going to get into it. This is new clips that you haven't seen yet. And shout out to Matty GTV. And I'm glad to see that yesterday, Matty GTV had 17,000, and I wrote it down yesterday just because I was curious how much we could help him out here. 17,200 subs yesterday, and we set him almost 5,000. He's at 21,500 subs. Let's see if we can't get him another 4,000 or 5,000 today and get him over that $25,000 or 25,000 sub mark, But at any rate, listen to these clips. He's going to talk between the differences of issuing assets on XRP versus XLM. In this first clip I'm going to play for you, which is about 30 seconds or so, he explains the XRP ledger and breaks it down very, very easy for all of us to understand. I just love it. Listen to this clip right here. And listen, he talks about the idea of bonds, derivatives, back end, wholesale. Think of these things while we're listening, and we're going to go on to some other information here. Check it out.
Is it a second layer built on top of the already existing network?
That's one way you could look at it. So if you wanted to look at it like that, you could look at it, the general network being the XRP ledger, and the primary token on the XRP ledger is XRP. And then under that, you have the issued assets layer. So you can issue stocks,
like a USD coin,
currencies, house tokens.
Wow.
You know, you can issue whatever you want under that. And what that allows you to do is if you wanted to go from currencies into bonds into house tokens into milk derivatives into Japanese yen, you're able to go into each individual asset through XRP instantaneously. Now,
there you go. Now that's huge right there. So, and he's referred to XRP and XLM in other video that we watched yesterday, and maybe even in this one as well, as liquidity tokens, right? Because they provide liquidity. So that's an interesting phrase to note here. Now he's going to go on and he's going to talk about XRP, number one DeFi coin, and we know how big DeFi has been, and he makes a very, very good point about how there's not a lot of people that really associate the understanding of the XRP, the decentralized ledger. And then he's going to talk about how it can handle stocks, bonds, derivatives, back end. Let's listen here.
And another thing that kind of goes on top of this, have you ever heard of rippling, or have you ever heard of anything like that?
And unfortunately, the conversation takes a little bit of a turn, and they don't explain what rippling is through this, but keep listening, and we do want to find out what it is.
Rippling?
Yeah, rippling.
No.
So this is another thing that I think is super important that people don't typically talk about in the XRP community. So XRP itself is a decentralized exchange, which is funny considering all the DeFi people that are like, oh, DeFi. You would think XRP would be the number one coin in the DeFi space right now, considering it's a decentralized exchange. And actually, I might actually send you a link to how you can take a look at the decentralized exchange too, because anybody could literally, dude, I listed my house tokens on the decentralized exchange. You could buy them if you wanted to. Okay. But so XRP is a decentralized exchange, and on that exchange is a software function called rippling. And this is probably one of the biggest things.
Almost like pancake swap. You can do like a pancake swap on the XRP exchange.
Basically. Wow. Now the difference between pancake swap and XRP that I believe is XRP will only be a decentralized exchange for derivatives. So I'm pretty sure pancake swap will send you the
will only be a decentralized exchange for derivatives. So a product on top of the actual asset. That to me sounds so right, because that mimics the conventional market, but on an immutable ledger that's scalable and secure, right? Let's keep listening.
Actual token. So if you had like a VeChain token, I'm pretty sure it'll actually send you a VeChain token, where XRP will send you a VeChain derivative that was issued by another party on the network, and then you can cash out the derivative through that additional party. Now, the reason why this is important important distinction between PancakeSwap and the XRP Ledger is the XRP Ledger is a perfect derivatives platform for not only the current derivative systems, but for bonds, treasuries, currencies, stocks, and any other type of derivative that you'd like to issue. And the reason why this is important is, and a lot of people like to think that XRP is going to be used for currencies, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be XLM. I think XRP is going to be primarily used for stocks, bonds, treasuries, derivatives, and it's going to be used as a primary liquidity provider to move from one asset to another asset very, very quickly. Even some currencies, but I think the currencies that people are going to be swapping in and out of will be more on a granular scale, rather than me sending you like $5 worth of USD coin. The reason why I say this, and it comes down to the actual the code and the functions on these networks. XRP will only allow for the issue of the currency to dictate who can get that currency, just like a bank. If the bank gave you a Tesla stock, it's the bank that could tell you who you can sell the Tesla stock to, but you got to go through the bank to sell the Tesla stock. It's sort of the same way with XRP. If somebody issued you a Tesla stock on the XRP network, it's not so much that you have to go directly through them, but if you wanted to sell that Tesla stock to anybody else, you would essentially have to it's not so much permission, it's you got to go through the original issuer and that's the original issuer. The only difference between that Tesla stock that you have in your account and this is that original issuer has this somewhere on their premises. That's it. Legally, they're like, oh, we've got this stock. It's sitting in this drawer somewhere. We have a derivative issued out and you own the derivative. That derivative is the derivative of this stock. It's kind of just a whole system of derivatives, really. But which is really just a piece of paper saying that you have the rights to something. But what ends up happening is that's basically the entire financial system. It's basically a bunch of IOUs to a bunch of other people for IOUs, including currency. Now, why do I think that XLM is going to be the primary cash currency? Well, XRP is going to be the derivatives token. Well, like I said, XRP is structured in a way to where banks can issue accounts under them, and then they could go through those accounts when it comes to dealing with whatever type of need they have. XLM it's not quite the opposite, but if I issued a token on XLM, I don't need to have special account permissions to have you buy or sell that token. I could issue you a token and you could just give that token to anybody. And the reason why this is important is if I issued a US dollar token, or if I was a bank that issued a US dollar token, the difference between XRP and XLM is XLM, I can take that token and I can send it to you, I can send it to my friend, I can send it to anybody, where XRP, I can only send it to somebody that's within the network of the person that issued me the token to begin with. So if you gave me a $5 USD token on XRP, I can go through you and redeem the $5, or I could go through you to find someone to redeem it through, basically. And it's sort of this account management process where XRP can have accounts managed under it, while XLM can basically be every account is unique and every account can issue whatever it wants, in a sense.
Well said right here. So the understanding that it's wholesale back end is the way he sees this. And we've talked about this on the channel, is that XLM seems more front facing. And XRP seems like it may be more wholesale back end. And we've talked about this since the channel's been alive, right? He's a developer working on the network that gets to see inside the belly of the beast, right? So it seems from a developer standpoint, he's clearly seeing it this way. The question really remains here is if you're going to have this liquidity token serve back in for this wholesale market for all the derivatives, stocks, bonds, and what have you, will it in fact become a derivative instrument too by designation? We're going to take a look at that in just a second. But let's listen to this last 30 seconds here and hear what he has to say about why XRP is so important. It's meant to run the entire financial system.
Okay. And then the reason why this is important is with XLM, you can just issue cash and share it. With XRP, you can issue a stock. And this is why this is important. When you issue a stock to somebody, you don't typically, take that stock in your Robinhood account and send it to your friend. You know what I mean? If they wanted to buy a stock, they would just go on Robinhood and buy the stock. This is why XRP operates that way. It's because it's not really meant for those underlying assets just to be sent around to people. It's meant to run the financial system for liquidity's sake because they can manage them like the typical account system they manage now, instead of having, two centralized databases trying to communicate with each other, trying to get consensus over, did this transaction happen? Is it going on? And are we able to continue on forward with whatever we're doing? Like, let's say you wanted to exchange currency for some sort of equity. Well, with XRP, you're able to do that instantaneously, presuming that the currency and the equity were both on the XRP ledger, instead of having to go with one database telling another database, hey, did you get this? Yes, I got it. And that's the thing you got to remember too. When these two databases are communicating, if there's any errors, somebody lost money here. Where the decentralized system, obviously, it's the permissionless set to where you don't get the. And one thing that people also don't talk about is the only real super value when it comes to blockchain is almost perfect accounting. If something adds up to 100, it adds up to 100. You can't have mistakes. You can't have one system miscalculate. It's a perfect accounting system. So what you end up getting is with the liquidity tokens is you get this high level of liquidity between assets on top of a perfect accounting system to manage the current banking system we already have now. In the exact same way that they manage it too. They just manage it with faster transactions.
This guy is absolutely brilliant. And he has one of his, I think his things that makes him so brilliant is not only his understanding, but his ability to turn around and be able to clearly communicate that to the layman like us. And I think this is amazing. I mean, I haven't seen a guy with this kind of quality in this space since Bob Way. And he really has the ability to break this down and share it in a manner that we can all easily digest it. So the understanding that XRP is back end, handling derivative stocks, bonds, and that's what it's about. It's not about sending the actual assets itself. It's about sending the derivatives of these assets, the way the system works in the conventional world, but with a new financial system being the decentralized exchange, which is the XRP ledger and a complement of XLM on the front end, right? Well, doesn't that lean us into what I started with, the understanding that market manipulation from GameStop, the U.S. pipeline attack and the meat industry attack, right? The food, the oil, and the markets. Anything else? We got all the proof we need to send to the Hill in Congress here that we need to update our market infrastructure because it's antiquated and very, very vulnerable. Now listen to what Gary Gensler said here. This is from Crypto Updates. Give him a subscribe. Listen to this quick comment about what he thinks.
I think to the extent something is a security, the SEC has a lot of authority, and a lot of crypto tokens, I won't call them cryptocurrencies for this moment, but crypto tokens are indeed securities. The prior chair had indicated that. The prior SEC brought numerous enforcement actions to sort of bring some of those security or investment contract tokens into the rules.
And there's that. Now, that's broadly him speaking about cryptos in general and believing the majority of them are securities. Let's see if we can't narrow it down a little bit and see how he feels exactly about XRP. But first, listen to this clip here from a video. And if you haven't seen this video I did back in January, asking if XRP could be a bearer bond or a bond instrument, right? And we're going to take a look at this. It's probably about 7-8 minute run here, and it's going to lay this information out. And think about the things that Quincy has said. Think about what Gary Gensler has said. Think about the narrative of the attacks that we saw, whether it's market manipulation of the oil pipeline or the meat industry. And think about these things as we move through the rest of this information here in this video. Listen, it's always confused me a little when I, saw Brad Garlinghouse. And sure, you want to get off on a good foot with a new SEC chair. Congratulating him, seeing a path forward, right? Really looking forward to it. We heard Rosie Rios not long ago say that, Gary Gensler's the right guy. I believe he's the right guy too. But that doesn't mean we won't see some kind of different outcome that could still give us the full-scale intended use of the asset XRP. And I think we need to get back to entertaining that notion. Let's listen here. Now, with that being said, it always has gotten me since Brad Garlinghouse congratulated Gary Gensler and said he's ready to work with the SEC leadership to broaden the Biden administration to chart a path forward for blockchain and crypto innovation in the U.S. Well, that's exciting, but we know that Gary Gensler sees XRP as an unregistered security. Let's hear here.
So Hugo was asked about the token XRP and whether I think it's a non-compliant security. I've spoken publicly. Yes, I do think it's a non-compliant security.
And that's all you need to hear there. And that is who is coming in to head up the SEC. Now, listen again. Now, I've played these clips for you, but stay with me. We're going to another place today. Okay, because it's a further defining place if this outcome should come to light. So let's stay with this. Listen to Dilip Rao at his time at Ripple here.
Does this hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise. And, we certainly don't want that much noise. Say is very shallow trading by individuals.
He's talking about retail trading.
So, it's kind of chicken and egg. You have to create a marketplace. And right now, we have about 150, 200 exchanges around the world that trade in XRP. A lot of it, as you say, is very shallow trading by individuals, and that is not the use case that we are pursuing. What we are pursuing is the use of XRP as a financial asset by sophisticated institutions as a bridging mechanism. So does this...
Real quick, a financial asset used by the banks.
Hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise, and, we certainly don't want that much noise, but we're waiting. And for example, this last quarter, the bulk of XRP sales were to institutional investors. And as this transitions away from retail to institutions who start to use it for wholesale, financial usage, that's
wholesale financial usage. Come on in.
When the turning point will come.
And I believe that turning point is now. And I also believe firmly that that's what this lawsuit is really about. It is about the turning point to move now away from the noise of the retail investors. And boy, is he right about that. You only need to surf crypto Twitter to find a noise for a lifetime. And the reality is that they're pivoting away from that is what it feels like to me. And getting this decision is going to be a part of that. Now, we know that Brad Garlinghouse has said openly he sees XRP as a currency. Well, so do I. And you know what? That and 50 cents won't get you a cup of coffee. But the reality is maybe it's just about that positioning and that pivoting. And this is how you begin to shut the door on the noisy retail investor who doesn't bring as much money as they do noise, right? And, then I look at this and get reaffirmed that Brad Garlinghouse has been very open about this fact.
We are not, and to be very clear, we are not focused. I've said this a bunch. The consumer speculator is not our target market.
That's all you need to know. The consumer speculator, you and I, are not their target market. That does not make Brad Garlinghouse a bad guy. It does not make Ripple a bad company. It does not make XRP, in my eyes, a bad thing to hold. But that's not financial advice. It's just my perspective. And the reality here is when I hear him say that, I hear him acknowledging that the ultimate intended use is not the consumer speculator. And it makes sense to me. Look, we only bring enough liquidity to the game to keep it around 20 or 30 cents or so. So with that being said, let's keep moving. So what is XRP if Gary Gensler comes in and says it's clearly a security to him? Well, Ripple already has private equity that they sell. They sell stock shares, private equity stock shares to different people and companies that want to buy into the company of Ripple. If XRP were to be a security, maybe it gets a designation that looks a lot more like a bearer bond used to be. Back in the day, I remember my grandmother had some, and shout out to Big Skinny, because him and I had an amazing conversation about this, and him and I have gone back and forth. I mean, you couldn't even imagine. But we've spent a lot of time talking about this, and for this security outcome, maybe if we get a designation that goes that way, maybe this could be one of the ways that they take it. And I don't think it would harm the intended use and the full-scale use of XRP in the long run if they did so. So let's run through that. If they were to give a bearer bond definition, a bearer bond is a fixed income security that is owned by the holder. Now, the difference between a registered bond that you could get today in any market versus a bearer bond is simply that the ownership is not really on it. Whoever holds, literally physically holds the bearer bond, owns the bearer bond. There's no name and account information or anything attached to a bearer bond. In fact, broadly here in the United States, they were discontinued in 1982 because it was a big way that people were using to hold bearer bonds to avoid paying taxes, as you can imagine. So obviously, that wouldn't be an issue these days because everything is really tracked on a digital ledger, now isn't it? Very quickly, I just want to say that it could just get a bond designation. I'm just using a bearer bond as an example that it's very, very similar, but in electronic form. And you could have the anonymity of the holder, but the address of the wallet, which could solve who's holding what at what time. Let's keep listening. Now let's keep going with the idea about this bearer bond being a fixed income security. I don't know. Maybe that even talks about a price set, and they could look at it as a bond in that regard, because if you're synchronizing and collateralizing this ledger with utility and volume, you could provide a floor price for this potential bearer bond, XRP. And by the way, remember, David Schwartz reminded us before we went to Singapore in 2019 that you could issue stablecoins off of the XRP ledger, which means you could issue a stablecoin for the XRP that you hold. Come on in. Another interesting point is knowing that we've been able to see inside of the SEC Ripple lawsuit. What else do we know? We also know that the tolling agreement started in April of 2019, and then just shortly after, in November, David Schwartz comes out with the information letting all of us know that you can issue stable coins off of the XRP ledger and XRP itself, right? So maybe they knew from the tolling agreements and the negotiations between the SEC, even back then, that we need to develop the network and let everyone that uses the network or intends to know that this is something that they can go and the route that we can go should we need to if these negotiations don't pan out. Or maybe it was the plan all along. It doesn't matter. But it fits, and it fits until it doesn't, right? Now, moving on here, a bearer bond, just a full definition, is a bond or a debt security. A debt security issued by a business entity, such as a corporation or a government. Well, banks also do this too. They did it back in the day. Banks typically issue bearer bonds, sometimes called coupon bonds, to hold in exchange for an investment. Really? Like we're all holding this bond right now, knowing that it could be worth a lot more when the volume and utility of these massive financial institutions around the world begin to synchronize on the network and use that payment rail for settlement? You're damn right. And then looking here before we go, this is the IMF document we went over about the treatment of crypto assets in a macroeconomic statistics. Looking on page 27, lo and behold, they break down the classifications at the International Monetary Fund on how they see crypto assets. And as they break down the pyramid here, look at this. We get to debt securities, and you could have a utility token that's a trade security and debt security. Hybrid token, which obviously could work as a utility or asset or debt security or equity security. I'm not saying that it is this, but I'm saying we have proven a path that if they get a security designation, you could see this, because the IMF has a schematic here and a diagram that certainly lays out the potential for such a thing to happen. And I think if they did issue it as a bearer bond, it'd be a way of saying you don't own a part of Ripple, because that's what the private equity from Ripple is for. That is the stock to Ripple if you own that. XRP, however, is a bearer bond to the ledger, because the ledger has value, and the value is in the protocol. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, and we know who said that. It was Glenn Hutchins. And the price of the token is a distraction for those that understand where the value truly is. This is not financial advice from me or anyone else, but I do want to say I thank you for being here. Make sure you check out all the links in the description box and the comments section. They are trusted, vetted links of products and services I use each and every day. Be very careful what you click on. And remember, pay attention for scammers, phishing attacks, things of that nature. I've had somebody just talk to me about that this morning. If you get a message from somebody that you do business with in the crypto world or otherwise, always start out assuming that it is a scam or a phishing attack. If you want to pursue the matter, you contact the company directly, start a fresh thread yourself from their website, and move forward that way to verify exactly who it is that's reaching out to you. Never click on anything that you don't know. Those are trusted, vetted links. I'll catch all of you on the next one.